And this guy tried to upcharge me on a photo booth.
Not upcharge. Give you fantastic deal.
Fantastic deal.
I guess you get confused.
I get confused.
Inflation, man.
Yeah, inflation.
You don't have no idea the cost of rice.
The Dad Collective, that's the show. With two young dads to let you know the ups and downs, the highs and lows. The Dad Collective podcast, here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. And now, start. Right now. Here we go. And we're back. I'm Daniel.
I'm Paul.
And I jumped right into this because this is the
Dad Collective podcast.
Yeah, see, I read on the internet that you got to hook them right away. So I thought if we jump right in, tell them who we are, that's our hook. I'm Daniel. What a cool hooky name.
It's so
Paul.
It's kind of like a pop song. You want to get to the chorus like right away.
Right away.
But
there's
an
equation where it's like if you don't get to that chorus within 30 seconds, consider it not a hit.
It's true. That's why we just never popped off.
Never popped up. Well, we popped. Speaking of pop, you told me about that thing. Like we shouldn't even talk. I had a little bit of like a brain connection.
I thought you just stroked out.
I stroked out a bit, but no, you were talking about popping off bands, music, whatever. I thought of Fiction City, then I thought of Billy Talent, and then I thought of Sum 41. You sent me that video clip today.
That's crazy.
All that happened, by the way, in my head in that moment. So that's why I kind of fucked up.
And I was always like 2 separations away from Greg Norrie.
Yeah.
That's just so
2?
crazy.
What, are you like his second cousin?
1. No, just like people in the industry. Like he was super into Teeter.
He used to be my waiter at Denny's.
But he was like, he would message us all the time. And like, that's so crazy that he came out and said that. Can you, I guess, does anything happen if you don't press charges?
Well, let's first of all, for those who don't know the story, tell what happened.
Yeah.
It seemed like from what I read is that he is essentially stating that this happened. Allegedly, this happened.
Derek Whitby from Sum 41, the lead singer, was saying that Greg Norrie,
who found him, produced him, managed him,
and so he owned a record label. He was in he was disbanded. He founded that disband show.
That show was disbanded quickly.
3 seasons, not a bad, pretty good show.
Pretty quick.
But yeah, and Derek came out and said that he was like getting SA since the age of 16 years old.
Yeah, for a while, and just it's mind crazy. Games and things like that. And just by the way, he was 16. He was 34. What's his name? Greg. So that's big.
It's a big age gap. And what's crazy to me is oftentimes you don't think it happens to guys.
Yeah.
And, you don't think it happens.
About this once, I think.
And it does. And we talked about this, and for all you new listeners,
when
we were for Diddy, that's insane. Right. All the lube memes are hilarious.
The best. But sad.
With us, we've been in bands, we were in a pop group, and we were talking to this old dude from
who knows
LA,
what his intentions were.
And I would literally talk to him on the phone for hours, living at my parents' house.
When you look back, that seems really fucking weird.
It was really, really weird. And but the fact was he was actually legit and founded one of the biggest pop groups.
Treble Charger shit, right? So
yeah, but
he's legit.
Busted was huge. And they're doing a reunion tour right now.
It seems like most of these cases, the person who's committing the crime is legit. They're legit in their business, but doesn't mean that they're too legit, to quit.
I still can't believe that Lou Pearlman didn't have private jets. That's what I took away from that whole documentary.
Yeah.
That he didn't own one private jet.
Yeah, that's what you should be taking away.
That's what I took away from it.
That was the lesson. I think they should have called it no jets, huh?
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
So
and
you see what's going on here?
Yeah.
You see what's
the
other color of our hoodies that are flying off the shelves.
It's doing well so far?
It's doing well. So if you're sitting at your computer and you want to look this fly for fall, this is the perfect fall.
It's a very
hoodie.
fall, warm leaves tussling in the wind.
I was wearing it.
Rustling?
Guys, if you want to ignite that flame in your relationship, so I was wearing this on the weekend.
Yeah.
With I was
and Jess couldn't wait to take it off.
And she was just that's a really nice color on you. And I gotta say, I'm pretty much translucent.
Yeah.
So if you have a skin tone even slightly like mine or darker, you're gonna look fantastic. Pop. This would look really good on you.
I didn't get one.
You should buy one.
I'll order one.
Yeah.
If I order one, you gotta order one.
It's a great price. It's great quality. We have it in black. We've got some t-shirts.
And they're limited, so we only they're there till they're gone.
And that's it. And so you got to get on that train. and be the coolest guy. I had 2 people at the gym be like, "That's a cool." He's like, "No,
you were in a
TV."
sweatshirt at a gym?
I'll wear this in the Sahara Desert.
It's all for promo.
That's all. I'm a walking billboard.
You are, because you're big and tall.
I've paid for billboards before. Yeah. This is way cheaper
and probably more effective because it moves.
It does, and I move very awkward.
You.
I move in awkward ways.
Waddling into the gym.
No, legit. 2 people at the gym were like, "Wait, those are like Danny Tanner?" I was like, "That's right."
That's why we had to put it at the top.
And I poured some pre-workout on the floor for him. I was like, "Pour one out for Mr. Danny." Mr. Danny.
You.
Pop. That's right.
But so that's good. So if you're interested in a shirt, a hoodie, a t-shirt, it's gonna make a great Christmas gift, great Thanksgiving gift for all the dads out there. But even like we said, it's not dads, it's just cool. It's just cool.
It is cool. Maybe we should do some.
So check it out. Link in our bio, all the details to click through, because I don't know the URLs off the top of my head.
It's like /::
Yeah,
like, we don't want to talk about
C:\\.
We eventually probably will have to talk about colons. We got to get that shit checked.
We're getting there. Yeah, it's like
we're getting there,
MS-DOS styles.
Fuck,
this
LimeWire.
website. But check it out. So, yeah, man, how's your week going? You said your week is not going. We always reflect for those of you that are watching this for the first time. We like to decompress. This is for us as much as it is for you.
So it's a Tuesday, and it feels like Monday's happened 4 times already to me.
Groundhog's Day.
It's been a week. I've got a massive events that I'm planning next week, and everything is falling apart. And this guy tried to upcharge me on a photo booth.
Not upcharge. Give you a fantastic deal.
Fantastic deal.
I guess you get confused.
I get confused.
Inflation, man.
Yeah, inflation.
You don't have no idea the cost of rice, man.
I booked a photo booth from him like a year ago, and it was like $700. Sends me a freaking bill for $1,000 today.
Updated cameras, updated equipment. Better. You want premium? You want to show your people at this party that you belong at the top? Then this is what you got to do. You got to pay for the premium booths.
But I've been
premium booths. But I could have helped you plan it. Like you're saying, like this is the biggest. Like I did an event like 2 weeks ago. It was like 2,500 people.
Yeah, I'm doing this on a budget.
So that, but I'm saying you're saying things are falling apart. You're missing things.
No, it's just it's
cancellations. The clown
shit's
canceled.
Getting in. It's just not. It's not great. But we locked down Asher's venue for his birthday.
Yeah.
December 1st is going to be insane. So we got to talk about that after too. So you can
complain about those. Yeah.
Shit.
I don't like this.
Yeah. So that's like it's like a basic like plain loft space. It's a rock theme.
A blank slate.
Yeah. Jess just got balloons. That's it's not a phase. So we got that, and we're gonna get some fake tattoos for him. Or maybe real tattoos. Who knows? Pros and cons. Do you like tattooing your baby?
You should have like tattoo rock parlor area, like an area where you can get so it looks like a real
airbrush
tattoo
person.
Yeah, but make it look like that kind of vibe, so it's funny.
Well, I'm gonna bring out all the instruments. We'll get some Guitar Hero. It's gonna be. Remember when I used to do video game parties?
I do.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
That was last week. It was super fun. But you
those
cheated.
Were great fucking parties. But yeah, his birthday party is gonna be epic. Jess is like, oh, he's only got one first birthday, and I was like, that's true.
He only has one first birthday for every age he turns.
Yeah,
it's always the same.
So
it's new. He's only gonna be 2 ones. He's only gonna be 12 ones
with the pinata with the Rolexes. He's
exactly.
Oh, a Rolex.
That would be fantastic. Are you gonna do that?
I think we've mentioned Billy Madison in the last 3.
Every episode, I think.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one. I was watching a random TikTok, and it was a girl talking about. No, it wasn't. It was on. Was it Love Is Blind?
I watched this season.
Did they talk about Will Ferrell and someone asked like who do you find funnier, like Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler? I forget what I was watching, and she said like Will Ferrell's not funny at all. I'm like, in what? And she's like, I don't even like Elf. I'm like, who doesn't like Elf?
She's soulless.
She sold her soul to somebody because Will Ferrell's hilarious.
Will Ferrell is polarizing to people who don't know Will Ferrell. So like if you don't get into the weeds with some of the Will Ferrell stuff, whether it's from SNL or some of these amazing like movies, certain movies and things he comes in where he's not like an amazing character, that comedy falls short for people.
I want to say 3/4 of my personality, it's like Will Ferrell quotes from like the other guys, like Desk Pop.
Yeah.
Just like for the other guys, freaking Talladega Nights, I say I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew. Step Brothers,
amazing.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, he has a lot of hits, but
even like the SNL skits.
Old School was like the original quotable moment, like bring your green hat, or like we're going running through the quad.
pivot when he's like, wait, cheese, didn't we put you in the dumpster?
Yeah.
I got out.
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, that was a good. Let's watch that movie now instead
We
of doing
should.
this
Okay,
podcast.
let's just watch the movie.
Here's us
in
watching the
silence.
movie.
That's fantastic.
Can we try that? It would be more like those like experimental like people who do music by just like screaming into a mic. We could do experimental podcasts by just watching us watch something.
If we ever do get like a crazy community of dads in the Toronto area, we could do like a movie night.
For
like,
sure.
And like watch like Old School or like American
100%.
Pie
Bring
1.
your New
or,
Balances. That's what
yeah,
we call.
just like, and we'll get you comfy seats so your backs don't hurt.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of hurt, I pulled my shoulder this morning.
Doing what?
Like just like I was in bed, Joey came into my bed, and I wanted to roll over and like hug her and just cuddle with her, and my shoulder like kind of popped out a little bit, and I'm like, oh, and it was like the first time. Because we always say, even in our intro song, like, two young dads, I feel like I'm young. I feel like I'm a kid. I feel like I'm still, in my 20s.
Yes.
To this morning was the first time I'm like, oh, my shoulder hurts. And like, at one point today when I was walking in your house, I'm like, my knee is hurting. And I'm like, am I going full-fledged dad right now? Because like, today's not been a good day for my joints and muscles.
You turned 41. You just turned 41?
Just turned 41 in September. Yeah.
I always get confused for 41 and 42. But
because you guys
now
turned
it
it
happens.
earlier.
Now it happens. It's downhill, man.
I don't know.
I'm still limber.
I'm still cool.
You're not sitting cross-legged like you
I was
do.
the whole time.
It's funny because like I do the thumbnail and like it's impossible for me to find a fucking photo of you not sitting cross-legged.
This is my comfortable. I'm comfortable balled up. I'm like a potato bug,
I think that's
when
like
they
an
ball up.
emotional response to something.
Well, it says like, again, we are so off topic with so many things, but in like when they interview like people who like committed a terrible crime, like murdered someone or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's an emotional connection or response to it. A lot of times in like interviews, whatever, they're not cross-legged, but they hold themselves.
Yeah.
They like put their arms around them or they fold their arms. And that's like the subconscious way of like comforting yourself. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's something to my legs, like just being comfortable.
Maybe there was another reason why you threw your shoulder out because you were digging a shallow grave somewhere.
Oh my God, you're talking about my family.
Oh, I know.
How's that for a clip?
Yeah. And we're viral. How's your week going?
Week is good. It's Tuesday. It's funny because it's hard for me to talk about my week sometimes because our week since we saw each other was a week Tuesday, but it's like my week ended and my week just started, and now we're talking about my week.
It's a Tuesday.
So I got to span 2 weeks of knowledge for you, even though it's only been a week. I know it's been a week, but it's last week and a little bit of this week.
All right, let's hear it.
It's good, sunny. We started getting Atlas back into his own bed.
Wow.
So
That's big moves.
It's a big move. I had a plan in place in my head that I'm like, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to execute, because he's really, really smart. And I'll explain why he's smart in a second. But we need to do it in phases and stages. It can't just be all or nothing. So the plan I put out there.
Yeah.
And so far, it's working on its way.
You duct taped him to the bed.
But you need a very strong adhesive.
Yes.
You can't use regular like off the shelf duct tape.
No, you
need the illegal stuff from Panama. That shit will lock you down.
Sticky.
So this was the plan. Me and Jamie were gonna rotate nights of going into his room, starting bedtime in his bed as opposed to ours, lying with him and just doing our like nighttime, like lying in bed, like reading our book or like watching our phones or whatever it is in his room until he falls asleep, and then leave.
The bait and switch.
Okay. And then we know, because he does this, he'll wake up, throughout the night sometimes, and he'll look over and if we're there, he's back asleep, so we don't even notice it. But we know that if he woke up and we're not there, he's gonna get up, he's gonna either cry, he's gonna walk into our room, whatever. So the last few nights is we started. This would be the third or fourth night tonight of us doing this. Every night so far, he's woken up around 1 or 2 in the morning, comes in our room, we go back, we lie with him until he falls asleep, and then we're supposed to come back into our room.
You like sneak out
again and just do it until he's comfortable in his room and not coming out. Like, I think you got to phase it. But the problem is that in his room there's no like light, there's no clocks, and so you go back in the second time and you lie with him, right? And you're exhausted because it's in the middle of the nights too. So like you're gonna like lie down, and he falls asleep pretty quick, but you also fall asleep quick. And so the goal is for us not to stay in there, because that defeats the purpose of him having these moments of sleeping alone.
He needs to be alone.
And so I laid down with him. I fell asleep again. And I got up, and then I'm like, fuck, what time is it? Like, how long I've been here, whatever. Like, I don't
3
care.
minutes.
I don't care what time it is. I'm going to take my pillow and go back to my room and finish my sleep in there, because that's the lesson I'm trying to teach.
Okay.
I go back into my room. I look at my clock. It's 7 a.m. I'm getting up. Like, so like, it was such a horrible thing in my mind, that moment, because I'm like, I could have like 5 hours of sleep left, or I can have none. And I had none. And it was such a shock to my system as I'm like walking back in there with my pillow, expecting to go to sleep. And I'm like, all right, clothes
did you get
brushing.
Some sleep though?
Yeah. So I slept. I felt so.
Are you sleeping on the floor? What are you doing?
No, he's got a big bed.
Oh.
He came into our room at 2 a.m. So I went in there too. So I slept at that point from like 2:15 till 7 a.m.
Okay.
But if it was like 3:45 when I woke up naturally, I would have just gone back to my bed and slept. But I didn't. I went back in there expecting to go to sleep, but had to get ready.
Because we have like a similar, so Asher's been waking up at like, he'll wake up at like 2, and then he'll wake up again at like 5:30, and then go back to sleep till like 7:30.
But for feeding though, right? For eating or not really? He's not doing that anymore.
He's like,
I don't remember the stages.
So, but like Jess jinxed it because like he was sleeping great.
Never jinx
and
it.
She was just like, oh, he's really sleeping great. I was like, you knock on wood.
Fuck it.
And then literally that night he wakes up at 2 and then 5:30. But then it gets to a point. So today he woke up at 6.
Yeah.
And then Jess goes in and comes back, and like usually when I'm up, I'm up. So I'm just like, oh, well, I guess like I'm up now. And then I kind of dozed off for 30 minutes. Woke up at 6:30. I was just like, well, here we are.
Yeah.
And again, like it's the interrupted sleep for me. So I feel like I slept like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours in total.
It is totally the interrupted sleep. Everyone said to me like, oh, well, you slept for 5 hours. No. But I'm like, I was interrupted. Yeah. So I had to start fresh, and it takes you 2 hours to get into it, and 2 hours to get out of it, and then you got an hour. So it's not great.
Do you have a camera in his room?
Not anymore.
Oh man, because there's like some of my favorite TikToks are parents trying to sneak out of their kids' rooms, and like either they full out like Mission Impossible style of getting out, or they like walk into a wall and the kid wakes up again and they're just like, fuck.
Start again, or the kid like senses moves, you leaving.
Yeah.
You have to move. I always had to do that. But you want to know the reason
and
why.
And they like play dead and stuff.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to move your arm and then see if he reacts or she reacts, and you move a little more and you move a little more. And you're trying
like
to shake the bed. It was that. But the reason why we removed the camera is a story in itself.
Oh, let's hear it.
And this is part of the story of why Atlas is a genius, because his memory is also insane. But he wasn't born in our room. In other words, like he hasn't been in our. I'm doing my thing. Just
okay,
no faces.
Sure.
No faces.
Sure.
I'll explain.
Let's hear it.
Sometimes when you have a baby, they start in your room by being in the bassinet, then maybe in your bed a little bit or whatever it is, and then they don't ever get to their room like in the span. So since Atlas was born, there was a time where he spent most of his sleep in his room when he was obviously a baby, but then he was in his crib. And in his crib, we would leave, and I've already been through it twice of like sleep training or whatever, going through the phases of like getting them comfortable and not screaming the whole night or whatever it is. And so I'm like, I got to try something different with him, like to go to sleep. Like after we leave the room, we put him in his crib, he's not necessarily sleeping. He has to lie down and do his thing. And so through the camera, for the first kid ever, I started talking through the camera.
Okay.
And I'm like, and it sounds bad, but I would be like, I'd put on like a Batman voice, and I'd be like, Atlas.
So your uncle?
I'd go, Atlas, go to sleep. In like a growl, like a Batman. Hey,
that would freak him out.
Yeah, it did. So he drops and lies down, because he would just stand there going screaming like, let's go to sleep. He'd look around, lie down and sleep. And he went to sleep, and it worked.
Traumatized your child.
Yeah, a little bit because
God.
So I mean, I wasn't trying to quote unquote necessarily quote unquote. There's no quote. I wasn't trying to scare him like purposely. I just did it in a whispery kind of voice at first, and then it stuck because it worked. So I was trying to be quiet, like. I didn't want to talk loud, like, Atlas, go to sleep. I didn't want to shock him. So I'm like, Atlas, go to sleep.
Okay.
And then he dropped, and I'm like, this is working. So I did it for a little bit, whatever. Then he grew up a bit, and then he ended up back in our bed because of just the way that the circumstances were. Actually, it was my sister's fault. She babysat Atlas while we were away once, brought him back into our bed, and he hasn't left since.
Yeah.
So
can't do that.
Whatever. And so he's like, we're talking about sleeping in his room, and he's like, but there's no cameras, right? And I'm like, no cameras, because he knows that he didn't like that interaction eventually.
Yeah, that's psychotic.
On my behalf?
Yes.
I didn't do it purposely.
See, this is what I'm saying. Apple Watch. You're looking at your fucking watch. So
well, I'm just checking to see if
I just want to get my levels.
You're not going over. Yeah, my BPMs.
I need my levels.
It's doing well. So it's going well. We're trying different things.
So now you can probably have sex again in your own bed.
I could.
Like,
But Janie's also post-surgery, so
yeah, so
there's like so many obstacles.
But
yeah,
never...
no more. I will say that we've cleaned Atlas's sheets before we tried getting him back in his bed. So
I would hope so.
We're good.
I would say I've heard somewhere if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, well,
is that true? I'm asking for a friend here.
I have a question. Is it true? What? That was a great line.
That's all of my personality is made up of movie quotes. It is.
Yeah.
It's just like kids these days just have such shit movies. Like they'll never have a Joe Dirt. They'll never have a Tropic Thunder.
No, it's funny. A lot of these kids, like movies they grew up on, they're like, oh, Marvel movies. Like but like obviously we watch them all. Marvel movies. So do I. But I'm saying like that was their childhood movie.
Yeah.
Right. Like for us, it was our nostalgic movie of comics and movies and stuff when we were kids.
Yeah.
For some of these kids, like that was their like coming of age story when they were 7 or 8. Right?
Avengers, like Endgame.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I love
where Thor, were you for like
Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah, where's like X-Men 1, man? You don't know about shit.
Oh, X2. Fantastic.
Great. Oh, I actually liked all the X-Men movies.
No, Dark Phoenix.
Freaking Joker
horrible.
too.
I heard
horrible.
Bombing. You saw it?
I haven't seen it yet.
I heard it's terrible.
It got worse reviews than than Morbius. The Morpheus or whatever. Not Morpheus. That's the dude from that's
I'm
the
just
dude
saying
from The
words.
Matrix.
Yeah.
No, the Jared Leto movie, The Vampire, which I watched. I enjoyed.
Morbius.
I enjoyed it. I did. I thought it was good. I thought I'll watch anything Jared Leto. He's dreamy.
He is dreamy.
I can get lost in his eyes. A great band. Yes.
Good.
So today, on that note, we're talking about
we can do the other thing.
No, we're not going to do the other thing. That was true. The other.
You're just jumping around.
I would say this is a pretty serious topic.
I don't know how serious it is as it just like real and reality. Like we're not talking about like anything dark necessarily, just the reality.
Other than you traumatizing your kid and making him think
that's the dark part. So now it's only uphill. The night is darkest before the light or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just real stuff. It's like my kids, Joey especially, are getting to ages where things like self-esteem and bullying and empowerment to make them feel good and empathy and all these like realer second level feelings are coming to the surface, and navigating them is a tricky game of chess.
Did you ever get bullied as a kid?
I did once.
So did I.
Where?
On the school bus.
You didn't take the school bus? Yeah,
I did take the school bus, and it was either not kindergarten. Maybe it was grade 1.
Yeah.
And I think it was that Dennis kid who was a couple years older than us.
You're older than us.
Yeah, he used to call me Polly Pocket, and that really fucking pissed me off.
Did you fight him?
I wanted to. No, some older kid was like, stop bothering him.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't have older siblings at my school, did I?
You had Barry.
Oh yeah, true.
And Shale.
No, he went to
he went to school.
Westminster. But I got bullied in that sense. I remember one time David Becker and I got into like a fist fight in grade 4.
It's more of a fight though. That's not bullying.
But yeah, how'd you get
bullied?
Who
won? It's funny. It was I think about it still a lot sometimes. So those two words don't really connect. A lot sometimes. I do think about it from time to time. So I always considered us in elementary school and high school, but it's elementary school, like we are like the cool group, right? Like this is the 90s.
Is that like just cool how we saw ourselves?
Regardless, I don't know if that's the case, but I'm like, there's cool guys, there's nerds. Like that was a very high school elementary school kind of 90s thing. Like it was TV, right? Like that's what, there was so groups like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I always considered us to be in a cool group in my mind. And then I went to Hebrew school at like the age of like whatever, 11, 10, maybe younger, like 8 or 9. I started like Sunday school or whatever. Yeah. Well,
I was 10 months old.
It was actually this week. Yeah. And I wasn't in my group anymore, and I wasn't like cool, and I didn't have my group of friends around me like we had. And so like there was this like bully in my Hebrew school that would like pick on me every single time that I would come to Sunday school.
Well, you were also like a little smaller. I was
very, very small at that point for my age. Like I had a late growth spurt, and it was just such I wasn't like scared, like or whatever. I wasn't physically beaten up necessarily, but it was such a contrast to like how I was 5 days a week in our groups of friends and feeling like good and confident and whatever in myself, to be at this other place where I had a completely different personality for like 1 year. And so it was,
which is so you probably like dreaded going. Did you make excuses? Like,
I mean, I hated it on its own because it was Hebrew school. It was like so boring. But I didn't. That year was horrible, and I did not want to go.
Did you tell your parents?
No, I never told them.
So nobody knew.
No.
See, I feel like in today's world, it would be a very different situation.
Like
I feel
there's more eyes on it now.
There's
right?
Like
teachers, like not one teacher even got involved. Like none of my teachers
started bullying you.
Yeah, my teacher hit me. The teacher hit me. No, like the teachers might have seen it in this particular school I was at that time for Hebrew school.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like they wouldn't get involved. Like they weren't talking. They weren't like standing up and things. That was a rare thing back then.
It's really scary these days because like I think just like my algorithm on TikTok just kind of got all weird, and it's been like a lot of like grief talk.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because of
from your last episode we had some dark moments.
Just seeing so many like videos of like it's like a Zach Bryan song, Pink Sunset, Pink Skies. Yeah. It's about like the kids are home and go to a funeral and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And like your funeral is beautiful, and it's like all about like these kids like having like a family photo or like 4 kids, and then one of them's not in it because of like bullying and like they've like taken their own lives.
Yeah, and there's always been those types of videos that like pull on the heartstrings.
And it's just, but it's such a fucking real thing for like a 10-year-old to like be so like bullied to go and try to kill themselves or do that. It's just, it makes me so worried that like with Asher that like you just want him to like the open communication. Like, would you have rather have like told your parents and like, were you ashamed to tell them or like, what was kind of like the thought process there?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of like embarrassment more than a shame. But I guess I just didn't feel, I was never the kind of person now or when I was a kid that like didn't feel like I couldn't solve my own problems. I very rarely ask for help even when I need it. Like
you're still like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like now and
that
then.
has not changed.
That's what I'm saying. So like I always have the mentality like if I can do it myself, I'll do it myself. So I guess that's probably similar to how I was back then. And we had this like, you know, in the words of on the topic of bullying and stuff, like I had to have a conversation with Joey the other day because it's not just about the worry of them being bullied, but also
becoming a bully,
turning into a bully or showing bully-like behavior. Like not everybody, there's a difference between, there's, you know, different degrees, right? And there's difference between teasing and bullying, like, and it's a fine line. And these kids these days, they're really into, like Joey used the word, like they roast each other, like they'll have like they've
never even seen a roast.
No, but that's the vernacular. The vernacular they use.
Like the cool word.
No, we weren't like I wasn't making fun of her. We were just roasting each other, right? So they find these excuses. So I had to have a conversation with Joey the other day, and she's a sweet kid, and she's not a bully in regards to her nature, but I had to teach her a really important lesson, and that's this. There's this girl at her school, and this girl at her school and her have had like issues in the past where they like get into fights or they don't get along. They just don't vibe well together for whatever reason. And we had that since kindergarten. There's always somebody or people. And so they always have like a little rivalry and they do little things to each other and fuck around. And the other day, this girl showed Joey like the loser hand, which they know about, the L, the loser L.
That's how I know my lefts and rights.
Actually. Yeah, exactly. So I wasn't calling you. I was just trying to figure out which way to turn.
Yeah.
And so she flashes this gang sign at Joey, and Joey called her fat.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's bad. Is she larger?
So that was the conversation we had. She is a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And so Joey, you know, I had to deal with it.
How did you find out about this?
So I went to her aftercare program, like at her school, and they're both in this program as well. And it trickled into there, and so the aftercare teacher told me about it.
Okay. How did you feel in the moment? You must have been.
I felt embarrassed and
like really like that can cause some serious fucking problems in a kid.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, obviously, and I'm not so concerned that this one interaction with my daughter is going to ruin this kid's life. But it was an opportunity to talk to Joey about like there's degrees, right? And so, you know, she thought that they were equal, right? And again, calling any type of thing or making fun of anyone is never good, doesn't matter, but there are degrees. And so she thought like, she called me a loser, I called her fat. And Joey does, at least the way she explained it to me, and from what I understand, is that like she doesn't really recognize yet fully like what is fat, what is skinny, what is that. Like she's not seen that. It's starting, but she's not really seen body and humans like that yet. They're not really talking about that. Like they're not into body image that much yet, right? Being aware of.
How old is she?
She's just turned 9.
Okay.
So she's getting like she's getting there.
She's getting
and
there.
So she called her fat just as a rebuttal to the loser, and she's like, yeah, but she's not fat. I'm like, she just called her that because she thought it was like another mean thing to say, like you're stupid, even if you're not stupid. Yeah. I'm like Joey, you have to understand, like especially with girls. First of all, talking about their body in any way whatsoever is the wrong thing to do with girls, especially. It's a wrong approach.
I would say with guys too, man, because like
I'm not arguing.
There's been shit said to me that has thrown me over the edge.
I agree. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that like body issues for young girls is a very prominent thing, and you have to be very, very conscious of it. I'm not saying that doing it to guys is the way to go.
No,
I'm just
for
saying
sure.
In this case,
I got you.
And I'm like, and Joey, like, you know, in this case, you said something that she might believe is real. She might be aware of her body. She is on the heavier side. And so when you say something that's clearly has truth in it, it hurts a lot more versus like, you know, you're ugly and maybe you feel good about yourself and you're not ugly, right? Like, so when it resonates with the person, it hurts more. And so I, explained to her about like, you wouldn't hear daddy talking to mommy like that or commenting on your bodies or things like that. And it was just a lesson to learn that, like, again, schoolyard fights and things that you say are going to happen. But even in that act of war, there are like rules and laws that you should try to follow because some things have more weight than others, like a race thing, right? Like
1,000%.
Right? So doing that versus saying like, you're a stinky face, like there's degrees. So that was the whole new lesson I had to teach. And
how did she react to it?
She completely understood, and she apologized to me and she apologized to the girl.
Yeah, like I think that's also something that isn't talked about too often. It
might be talked about. We don't talk to people, so we don't know it's not talked about.
Well, no. What I'm saying is like the focus is always on the kid getting bullied.
Oh yeah.
It's like never like teaching your kids to not be a bully.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's a like huge.
Well, I made some notes on this because as you know, Paul,
you'd like to be prepared.
I like to be prepared, but I also taught a anti-bullying program for 10 years in schools across Canada. And by Canada, I mean Ontario.
And by Ontario, I mean
mostly
Toronto.
GTA. We weren't in none of it. I can tell you that.
Becoming like not being a bully and not like if you look at our group chats or group chats have passed since the group chats isn't
has evolved
anymore.
We bully people out. Go on.
Yeah, but like if people read that, they'd be like, "Wow, are you guys actually friends?" No, we're not. But it's guys go and do that, and sure, stuff has maybe been said that has hurt other people. That
you cross lines, right?
Yeah, I've crossed a line or two in my day.
But that's not there. There's a vast difference between what happened there or what happens with lots of guys' relationships and bullying. Like again, we do roast each other. We do have a relationship of making fun of each other, but we all have lines and we all have things about us that might ring true. And if like, let's say I was like super ashamed of like, my stomach, my feet, whatever it is. And that was a topic.
Definitely not ashamed of your feet.
No, my feet are fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was a big point of contention for me about how I feel myself. Those jokes would hit harder.
Like when I gain weight, it goes like right to my face, top of my stomach, right? Yeah. And
skips your chest.
I remember like, a company that we worked for and these two owners that were, owners of this company, and one was no longer an owner at the time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. It was a company we both worked for with 3 owners.
Oh, yeah.
It was minty fresh.
Okay, go on.
And I heard that, I actually think you told me that 2 of the owners were making fun of me of like that, oh, he's got a double chin and where's his neck and blah, blah, blah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Of course, because it sticks with me.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's something that I'm super self-conscious of and it's always bothered me.
Interesting.
Right? And like I know I can
What
go.
assholes?
I can go and...
I told you as like a friend or I was
as a friend.
I wasn't participating.
You were probably participating.
Damn it.
Behind my back. But like shit like that. And it's just like bullying just doesn't happen in schools. We were freaking probably 20 at the time.
Oh, it can happen your whole life.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
and it doesn't happen. It doesn't come to be in one way or the other. It can form it doesn't form in a vacuum.
Do you think it's like
outside of us?
Those people are more insecure than not?
I think that again.
What makes a bully?
Well, I have some points on how to stop a bully because I came prepared.
How to stop a bully.
How to stop becoming a bully, and also how to raise people who stand up for bullies. Gun. Just a BB gun. That's all you need.
That's all you need. Shoot your eye out.
What did you ask me?
What's if they're insecure? Like what makes a bully?
Oh, I think that I think that there's probably a million reasons why there's different types of bullies and different this and that, but sure, you're right. I think most of it is probably lands itself in coming from a place of not feeling good about yourself, right? When you don't feel good about yourself, whether you know it or you don't, like a lot of people who don't feel good about themselves wouldn't even recognize they don't feel good about themselves. You give that energy back out. So,
and do you think that's a top-down thing? It comes from the parents?
I think no, I actually don't think
nature versus nurture.
I don't think.
Do you think you're born a bully?
I don't think you're born a bully, of course. I think it comes from a million reasons. Again, if you if your parents in that case are role modeling bully type behavior at home, then yes, your kid could learn it. It's likely your kid's going to act similar to your parents do. That's just the way it is. But I think that there's also parents who are great out there who might have kids who are bullies and they don't even know it. And it wasn't even brought to them. And they don't, and the reason why it could be a million other reasons. Again, stuff they see online, how they feel about themselves.
I also think it's very different now than when we were kids, because like this whole cyberbullying thing is insane. Because like, listen, I've got great game and like I'm great at texting and everything, but like in person, you're not going to say some of this shit. I read some comments in some TikToks or other social media platforms, and people are fucked. The shit that comes out of their fingers. Like
people
are
way more confident when they're not face to face. So that's why it's obviously more rampant. So what I did here is I have a few notes, but one of the notes I have is, different ways to handle bullying.
Yep.
And also ways to avoid becoming a bully.
Okay.
Okay. So just some different points. So
let's hear these points.
One, what
section is this under?
So could be either. Any of these could play a role on both sides of that coin. Okay. So this will help you avoid becoming one, but also help handle. So, teaching like assertiveness, not aggression. So, I made a note here like help your kids, right? Because they're your kids, stand up for themselves in a respectful and firm manner. So, like, know your lines, because that would help stop a bully, like being assertive, being, standing up for yourself, not cowering, not taking it, not laughing. It's not always easy, but also giving them these tools to be confident in what they're saying, and to be assertive with their thoughts, but not necessarily aggressive. Okay. I think that's a great tip.
I do.
Write it down.
I agree. Yeah.
This one seems silly, but I did this a lot in Grow.
You're silly.
And it helps. Well, I am a little silly. Or maybe it seems obvious, but I think that, one of the things that we used to do was like role playing scenarios, right? Like practice, different responses to bullying, or develop strategies to unleash in certain situations. Not only does that help you deal with a situation that might happen, but it also can teach like empathy, which I think is a big part of it, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, understanding both sides, understanding why someone might be a bully, why they need more love or more care directed towards them, and that's a way to fight it. Okay. So I think that was a really good one.
Yeah.
I wrote fostering self-worth because, obviously if they believe in themselves, you could be less impacted by negativity coming towards you if you really have a strong self-worth. So one note I made here in connection to that, where is it? It was a really good one. Or at least I thought it was at the time. I'm not full of myself at all. It was motto. Yeah, it was really like about praising their effort in doing things and not just the results.
No, that's good. So you're not so results. It's kind of like when you do a math problem, you want to see the work, right?
So like your self-worth isn't only like
tied
rooted in being successful, but trying, because that gives you more of a potpourri of options to build that self-worth, because there's more things that are achievable for you to feel good about yourself.
If you're basing your whole identity on like making the basketball team, it's like the work that helps get you there.
Exactly. Yeah. And like just trying, like, going out and auditioning for the school musical, even though you're probably not going to get the main role, because that builds your confidence for trying and going out there and accomplishing. So those are some of my notes on bullying. We used to do an experiment at Grow, not an experiment, like a game where we took, and it was like such a aha moment for the little kids.
Yeah.
We had an orange, just like a regular whatever orange, and we had like 4 or 6 volunteers up, and they would each have a pen in their hand, and they would take the orange and they'd stab it with the pen.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going somewhere. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'll feed you.
You're just like...
They stab over and over. No, you put a pen into it. You stab it in. And when you do that, say something mean about the orange. Try to be very specific to the orange. So like, I don't like the color of your skin.
I don't like how you give me acid reflux.
I don't like your acid reflux if they were so like smart enough to think about that. I don't like the bumps and pores on your skin, whatever it was. You could have talked about the orange. Your juice is too sticky, like whatever.
Yeah. Damn pulp,
right?
Stuck in my teeth.
And so we go down the list, go down the line, and at the end I hold up the orange.
And can you repair this?
Yeah, well, not even that. I have like 6 pens in it, right? And it goes one step further. So there's 6 pens in it. Then I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's go back down the line, pull your pen out, apologize specifically for what you said. So I'm sorry I said about the skin or this or that or the other. And we get to the end, and that was the point. What's different about the orange? There's holes in it, right?
Yep.
You said it. But did you apologize? You did apologize. But just because you apologize doesn't mean you can't take the hole away. And it's a hard way to kind of, it was a good way for them to kind of recognize it.
It's kind of good that you did all that stuff without ChatGPT, because like
back in the day, right? We had to really think. Stuff. Me and Tammy did so much research. It was crazy.
That's such a valid point, because like it still sticks with you, and I can still think of stuff from when I was a kid, or like I've always been since I was 13 years old, I started DJing parties. I was always like forward facing. So like just comments about like my image and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
we always cared about it.
Around it.
It sticks.
Our streaks, our blonde streaks.
You. Or like whenever, if I were to audition for a role, or like there was literally, the feedback was I didn't like his face. And it's
you told me that once.
It's just like,
and it's funny now, but if you hear that, like, why even put that in the feedback? Like,
exactly.
Skip that part.
And like,
maybe.
yes, like the entertainment industry is really rough, and will I subject Asher to it? Who fucking knows? But like, even now, like, I hate taking photos. I used to love being in photos.
Yeah.
And like, it's a thing. Like, I don't like being in photos because I'm not stoked on the way that I look now.
Yeah.
And it's fucked. It really is. And that shit sticks with me.
For sure. And that's
like
why I think it's important, like going back to the self-worth stuff, is like finding ways, especially like, and again, like maybe I see it differently because, daughters versus sons, but now that I have a son, I think it's, like you said, it applies to both sides of it.
Yeah.
Is finding ways to show this love and this respect and this integrity and all these other things, and put into their self-worth, so that their self-worth doesn't become only what they look like. So when they grow up, and those things inevitably change, right? Like,
yes,
you become,
for sure.
You get older, your metabolism changes, your hair can fall out, whatever. You get older and you change. You're not you're in the prime of your life necessarily. That doesn't become the base of your existence, and so it doesn't hurt you as much when that stuff fades. Like,
for sure,
so teach them more than self-worth, like beyond the surface.
Do you recall like the first time like one of your kids came home and said like someone was mean to me, or like it's got to be such a heartbreaking fucking moment?
Like I said before with Joey, now that she's entering that age, and again, it could start earlier, right?
It could be like Atlas, like if someone like stole something from him.
No, right now it doesn't bother me for those particular ages, because again, it's so that kind of stuff that is very surface. It's like he took my marker. Billy was mean to me.
Or
and
someone
the next
called
day,
him like an idiot.
Yeah, and the next day they're playing, they're having fun, but they don't have the capacity yet to take it super personally, for it to mean the weight that it does, that Joey will start to get now when we talk about body weight, and she starts to recognize that there's different cultures and like things that are really like core value stuff versus like silly little kid inevitable fights over mundane stupid things.
Yeah, I think like thankfully, like we live in Canada, and
thankfully, I don't know if I agree with that, but go on.
Well, I'm saying with kids, like we're not getting freaking, pick a bulletproof backpack to send your kid to school with.
Yeah,
like,
but we have our own set of problems.
1,000%. So, but what I'm saying is with bullying, like if you there's some kids that you push them over the edge and real bad stuff happens.
For sure.
So I think like really instilling like kindness into kids is so fucking important.
Yeah.
And just like teaching them empathy, and not everyone is in the same situation, and try to help people as much as possible. Just try to like, I think with me, because like we are only having the one kid, like
says you,
we can really, really, really instill like great values into Asher.
Yeah, you can put all your focus on him. You don't have to worry about having to spread it across multiple kids.
But that's the thing. But we also don't get to see what works with one and doesn't work with the other and all that kind of stuff. But just being a good person, like I go.
Golden rule.
It's
the golden rule. It applies more than anything else. Do what you do. Treat others the way you want to be treated.
1,000%.
If you do that, you can grow on. I saw a video the other day. This guy said a speech. It was so good. He's like, the only time, I think he swore. He's like, the only fucking time that you should look down on someone is if you're putting a hand out to help them back up. And I'm like, that's a great line.
That's a fantastic line.
Right? And that's it. If you follow those things, if you understand that we're all, inevitably good people, we're all fucking just these evolved amoebas wandering this ball, like, then life is good, man. Life is good. I always tell Schreiber, and we haven't mentioned Schreiber in a while, I always say, like,
we can't
affect, yeah, probably every single one. You can't change like the bigger picture as a person. Like, it's very hard to make change in the bigger picture of the world. There's all these crazy things going on, and you can't really do much about it. Like, as much as you want to post on Instagram and share, like, you can't make a big impact. And that's not necessarily a good message, but it's the truth. Like,
it's
statistically speaking, it's very hard to make a change in the world on a macro level. But if you can create your own world, like, and that becomes all that's important to you, so that, like, you're happy, your kids are happy, your fam, you live a good life, you eat well, you do these things, that's the only world you'll ever really know intimately. So that's all that really matters. Like, you can't really control all these other things, and if you can make your smaller bubble, your smaller world, a good place to live, then life is good. Life can be good.
I totally agree, and I think that your like priorities totally shift when you have a kid. Like how I used to think,
shift, yeah.
Like I would say a year and a half ago is so different than now. Like, I'm not focused on like, well, what's my next watch going to be? What's like, now it's just like, I just want to get home and see Asher fucking flip out when I get home because he's so happy.
Or give him like a cute toy that he'll love, right?
Yeah,
and react
like
to. I buy way more shit now for my kids than I do for myself.
I can't remember the
not
last
to
thing
spoil them.
I don't even think I can
but
remember
just
because
it's so exciting to see them excited.
Yeah.
I surprised Sonny with these new Crocs. They were Squishmallow Crocs.
Okay.
Like, we were all getting new Crocs. We were doing a Croc order.
Okay.
A Croc order.
Yeah.
And
on Prime Day today?
No, I ordered it a couple of days ago, but yes, I got some Prime stuff, of course. And so she chose these silver sparkle ones that she wanted. Everyone's getting one pair. But when I searched on the website, I found these other ones, and they were these Squishmallow. They're like themed ones. And they're not going to be her daily drivers when it comes to Crocs.
Yeah.
But they were really cute, and I got them as a surprise to show her. And I showed it to her today when I got home from when she got home from school. And she was so excited. Like, and she gets the most excited, so it's fun, extra fun to do exciting things for her. She's like so
she's
happy.
polar opposite of you when you get something.
She's the opposite of me.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get excited.
Yeah.
She got so excited, and it was like better than me buying any gadget or gift for myself.
But that's what it's the priorities change, and I think like looking back on like my life, like
looking back, you have a long life left, man. It's not over.
I just like, it would change a lot of stuff. I don't think I was ever like mean to kids or anything like that. I was never a bully.
Do you have any memories of times you stood up for other kids, to people, whether it's bullies or just sour situations? I have one memory, so it's like hard to pull it up, but do you have any memories?
I would say like I've like, if one of my team members like is going through something, like I'll have a nice little chat with the agent and stuff like that. But I feel like
as a kid though, do you remember doing any of that?
It's hard to. No, I blocked out a lot of my childhood. You know this.
I had one.
Maybe the hypnotherapist will.
Have you started that yet?
No, not till October, like 24th. Hopefully sooner, but I've got it locked in with the consultation, so pretty excited about that.
How does the consultation work? Do they like act out?
Put you under? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I spoke to a couple of people before I decided on who
you
I
vetted them.
I did, yeah. I had like a bunch of Zoom calls this past week. But
let me know if it's good, if it works. Could be interesting.
Yeah,
maybe we'll bring up some dark stuff. I had one time when I was at camp as a kid.
Okay,
and there's this new camper, and it impacted me the same way you say that like something said or bullied about you remember, and it's scarred on your brain. Like I remember the Hebrew school story. Like I remember that bully's name. I know what he looks like. I remember it all.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's a memory that's good. I was at camp. This new camper came to camp. We were like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8. And he had a very, very strange voice. He talked like he had a very like unique voice.
Sure.
And he had a very funny sounding name.
Okay.
And so he was bullied. Like a lot of these other kids in cabin would make fun of him. It was just a standard go-to. And again, I'm not trying to say like I'm this almighty, whatever, like amazing person. Cause I've probably bullied myself in the past. Like bullied other people in the past. I've done bullying behavior. I'm sure of it. It's mostly to you, but probably. I've done it. And I befriended him because I saw, not because I necessarily knew him, liked him, whatever, because I saw that everyone was leaving him alone, and I like hung out with them, and like we became good friends. We were very friendly. And I remember one night, it was like a family night thing where parents came to the camp.
Yeah.
His parents, who I didn't know, came up to me and like thanked me and whatever. And it just felt so good to do that type of thing. Again, like giving a gift, making someone feel good. When you do good things, when you make good decisions, you feel good. So why wouldn't you, right? Like,
yeah.
So why not? So again, going back to your last point, because I just connected it, is that people who maybe are bully, who say bad things, don't feel good.
They don't.
And so that's the thing. If you do good things, you feel good. And if you don't feel good, you don't do good things.
But I feel like a lot of bullies do it for attention.
Oh, for sure. There's the showmanship of it too.
Yeah, and that's just freaking so stupid. It goes back to like the Breakfast Club with what's his name?
But there's many bullies who probably never seen that movie.
Yeah,
but
that's
the like
the stereotypical bully guy. And he was like getting abused at home and shit. Like you never know what someone's going through, right? And like I smile at people on the street. I say hi to a lot of people. Like I'm just like I'm a friendly freaking person. But I am though. I'm like super polite to people. I've always been like that. The only time like the aggressor comes out is like when it's work related, when it's like real estate related.
You don't want to see angry Paul.
No, you don't. But like it's I try to be extra nice to people, and it's because you never fucking know. And like there's been so many times that we touched on this last time when we played that clip about it was when we were talking about just mental health. Like there's been so many times where I've been having a horrible fucking day and like having really bad fucking thoughts, and like I have to put a smile on my face. Yeah. And like it's, a phone call can like completely change your day. Like I remember a couple months ago, I think Asher, we just got back into the house. So maybe it was like January or early February. And I was having a horrible day at my office. I was like dealing with CRA earlier, and it was just like not a good day. And my buddy Jason just randomly called me just to be like, hey, I just want to check in. And we just talked. Yeah. And it was like, excuse me. It's like one little phone call can change someone's day. Totally. So on that note, like check in on your friends, like give them a call to say what's up, see how they're doing. Cause like you never know how much that can impact someone.
I can't call you outside this podcast.
No, that's fine. I'm not expecting. I'm not getting,
other people.
You don't fill my cup. but that's like check in on people.
That's the exact same thing with your kids. It's like sometimes when we talked about avoiding your kid either becoming the bully or being bullied, check in on them, because that check in with your kid, that little summary at the end of the day, that little conversation before you go to bed, can change the trajectory of their life, right? Like if you have the right conversation, or if you discover something that's troubling, by getting involved, by being active in their lives and caring about their days and shit, although sometimes tedious, makes a difference. So that kind of human connection, the check-in, is important, no matter how old you are, no matter the relationship.
Do you ask your kids like how they're feeling, like, and not just like a surface level, but like how are you feeling? Like, is everything good with you?
I find myself.
What makes you happy? What makes you like? What's going on with you that makes you happy?
So I find myself, I guess maybe now just based on their ages, is when I find out details about their day, and instead of asking like how you're feeling, because they may not be in a not mental state, like a capacity yet to expand on that or understand what they're feeling, I ask them how things in their stories made them feel.
Okay.
So like she'll tell me like, oh, and this person, you know, going back to Joey, and she called me a loser. How did that make you feel? Like whatever. How did that make you feel? And you ask them about those questions, and it starts a conversation of them talking about their feelings. Yeah. And then you're right. One day you can just say like, hey man, how you feeling right now? And they can have the wherewithal to dive deep and say, you know what? Like I'm actually just feeling like a little off today. I don't know why, or this, that. So, you know, I feel like Rome's not built in a day. So you got to constantly get there.
But I feel if you create that environment where they feel like they can talk to you is one of the most important things. Like we grew up in a very different time where we internalize a lot of stuff, or like I put it into song lyrics, or like that book that I read.
I read that book. I had to read that book all the time.
Yeah. So like I would write shit in a book, and Carson and
fuck my mom.
It was never
my hell.
It's like he would put the lyrics to songs, and that's how I would get things out. But having that safe space with your parents or your friends, I think is super important. And I think like the more you have that open communication, is the less chance that your kid's going to grow up to be like a little shit or an asshole and be a bully, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they are having a rough time and someone's picking on them, so they lash out on someone else because they think that's normal.
Yeah.
And it's just I guess it all just boils down to communication and having that safe space for your kids so they can come up to you and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Like, this kid said this to me and I was an asshole to someone else, or whatever it is.
And you said it right. Like you said, like it wasn't just parents, it's that having somebody, right? And anybody's better than no one. So, you know, if at a certain age, it's an age thing, right? Like certain ages, your kids will talk to you more or less. Yeah. You know, they turn 13, they whatever. It's just good to know that there's always someone in their life, whether it's a great, cool aunt or that, you know, they have really good friends that they can confide in. Knowing that your kids have someone to do that with, even when there's a time that will come that it won't be you, is all that you can ask for. Because, realistically, they're going to be 15 one day and they're going to want to keep stuff away from you and talk to their friends more than they talk to you about that stuff.
But maybe that won't be the case.
Maybe not. And it's nice to have it open, but
right? Like
realistically, you have those situations.
Maybe it's easier if you have one kid to have that, like,
or maybe
level.
It's harder.
Maybe it is harder. Like it's going to be
neutral.
It's going to be really interesting to see, and especially like, you know, doing this podcast, how the parenting styles will change for us. And like for me, and what, you know, I get from you and from other people who bring up the podcast. And just having that, like, you know, guests on the show and all that kind of stuff. Like,
I think it can only help. I don't think it can hurt at all.
1,000%. It's funny because I was one of my agents. She's about to have a baby. She has a baby. She's having a baby at the end of the month. And I told her, I'm like, listen, like, you're gonna get so much unsolicited opinions.
Oh, you're
so
giving
many
advice now, eh?
Yeah, but I was like,
you're there
because I feel like I can, because like we went through it, and we have this podcast and we're becoming experts in this field. And I was like, you're going to get a lot of unsolicited advice from everyone. And you just have to know that you're going to figure it out. And if you need help, ask for it. But you're not going to do anything wrong, because it's a learning experience. It's going to be fucking scary. But literally every single fucking person you meet is going to give you a piece of advice that you're not going to ask for.
How they did it best, or how
your kid's feet are cold, or like this worked for me, and they probably have colic, or blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, you'll figure it out on your own. Like, you know, smile, grin, and just like say thank you.
Be there for them.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, just sort of listen to the Dad Collective podcast.
Yeah, seriously. Speaking of listening to the Dad Collective podcast, Joey like is now like going to like friends' house more and these different things. And she's like, kind of proud of this podcast, and she constantly, like, because her friends, like,
she's
they don't
in
sit down
fucking movies.
I know, but I'm saying, like, they don't sit down and like watch TV. They sit down, if they're not playing, they'll like, and they want to consume something, they grab an iPad and they watch like YouTube. So she's at a friend's house, she's like, comes back and tells me, she's like, yeah, we watched like your podcast episode.
Did she like and subscribe?
She didn't.
Okay.
No, she's just one of those floaters who come in and out. So it's interesting now that she's getting to an age that she's aware of this, and she's like checking in. So I have to be aware of not
what you say.
No, I'm not censoring myself because I'm just being honest. But like, like I have to now be aware of telling her stories and exposing her stuff. With you know, she's an independent person regardless of her age. So it's not up to me to always talk about things, but I try to do it in a a teachable way.
And
but
on that note, who do you like the most on
who do I
this
like
week?
the most? This week, well, Alice is waking up throughout the night, so like
he's dead to you.
Fuck that. Sunny is dealing with the repercussions of being kicked out of art school, so she's dropped down the list a bit.
Art school
dropout. And
so I guess it's Joey.
It must be Joey. Although Joey came home so annoying. She came home from school yesterday. Today, you know what day it is today at school, Paul? One of the best days
Pictures
ever.
Day?
Even better than picture. Well, it was
Pizza
Picture
Day?
Better than Pizza Day.
No, that's
Scholastic Book Sale Day.
They still fucking do that.
Oh, they do that. And Joey's like, I want a poster. I want this. All this shit like we wanted. And
now it's probably so much more expensive.
So she comes home into my car yesterday and she's like, Dad, tomorrow's the book fair. I need $70.90.
She pre-picked
I'm
everything?
like, $70.90?
Just give her $71.
I'm like, what do you need this for? She goes, 2 books. I'm like, what? I'm like, how much are the books, Joey? She goes, $18 each. I'm like, that is only $36, Joey. What else do you want? So, like, she's trying to trick me. I'm like, what else do you want?
You realize she has more money than you do.
Well, that's what she said to me. She's like, I could buy and sell you, Dad. She's like, oh, well, there's this poster I want, and there's these things I want, and all this different stuff. And she's like using these words now. She goes, I need that poster. It's so aesthetic.
Wow.
I'm like, what? And she goes, yeah. And she goes, yeah, it's so preppy. I'm
she
like,
wants
what
to be like in a Ralph
slang?
Lauren.
She's like Gen Alpha. Was it Gen Alpha? The Gen Alphas are going to have some weird slang.
Is that what they're called?
I think that's what the next one's
Are they
called.
rizzing it up?
They're so rizzy.
So did you give her the money?
No. But then
it's
she
her
went.
Money.
No, I don't have her money on hand, but she has like a little wallet that has some cash in it. And she's like, I'm just gonna take this. I'm like, that's your money. That's your decision.
She
took her money.
She has more money than you, man.
I know. That's why I have to
protect
it.
The whole
Otherwise,
she's
gonna buy nothing but posters that say "Good vibes."
Oh God! Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love. That's the best one.
Aesthetic.
So my long and short of it is, no, her friends didn't subscribe, but you can.
If you're listening on any of our audio platforms, make sure you rate it 5 stars. We're all over the place: Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, podcast, Podbean, Deezer, some weird ones I've never even
listing it.
There's some I haven't even heard of.
I don't get it because for YouTube. I'm saying if you're listening to this already, then you know where to get this because you're already.
But everyone listens on different fucking things.
But they're listening, so
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
If you're
we're not going to bully you based on what you're listening to.
Just listen to us. That's all that matters. But if you're watching us on the YouTubes and over 14,000 subscribers.
When do we get like a number balloon when we hit 20? Can we do that for 20?
Yeah, we'll see what the budget entails.
Last week was $40.
It was $40 last time. If you're watching on the YouTubes, unlike Daniel's daughter, hit that like button. Leave a little comment so we know what you think. How do you feel about bullying? How do you feel?
I can imagine that you don't feel great about it.
So maybe you do. Maybe you're a bully yourself.
Then bully us in the comments below.
Bully us in the comments below. That's totally cool. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and the little bell so you know when you upload. Listen, I didn't have that little bell checked off on my personal YouTube because I have like my own YouTube that I watch and I have the Dad Collective. And I noticed that the last reel that I posted, I didn't see it. So I hit the bell. Hit the bell. It means a lot, and you mean a lot, and you're special.
You're special.
You're special.
And how you doing?
How you doing today?
How you doing?
I hope you have a great day because you're pretty awesome.
You're an awesome person. And so am I. I'm Daniel.
I'm Paul.
And this has been another episode of
the Dad Collective Podcast.
The Dad Collective, that's the show. With 2 young dads